It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the privilege to interview the Tennessee Volunteers assistant rowing coach, Coach Wendy Davis. How are you doing today?
I'm great, Brandon. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. Can you talk about how you knew that you wanted to get into college coaching?
Sure. When I was in third grade, that's when I decided that not so much college coaching, but I knew that I wanted to be a coach. And I haven't looked back since I was, how old are you? 8 years old, 9 years old?
Can you talk about what were some of your stops along your way to get you to Tennessee?
Well, I've had a number of them, and you could call me a journeyman coach. So I went to UCLA, and that's where I rowed. I coached there 1 year, my first year, and then I was at Stanford University for 10 years. The first 8 of those, I was the assistant coach, and the last 2, I became the head coach. And then I zoomed over to Yale and was the head coach there for 4 years and stopped. And you can ask me why I stopped later. But anyway, I stopped coaching at Yale, took a couple of years away from collegiate coaching, and then started the University of Minnesota program in 2000. Stopped there in 2019, and then came to the best place in the country, which is the University of Tennessee.
Of course, what was it like coming out of once you ended your career at UCLA, going into college coaching?
It was when you graduate, you think, okay, now I know what I'm doing, and you really don't. And I look back at some of the things I did my first year coaching, and it's like I need to send apology letters to all those athletes. But I was gung-ho, and they got my best effort, and it was certainly a learning curve. And we did well. I was the assistant coach, which means I was the novice coach, the first year rowers, and we did really well. So I knew I was good at it. But yeah, that was that first year.
What was it like going to Yale to become the head coach?
Well, it was really a dream come true. And I was only the second head coach in the history of the women's program. And, Yale, at Yale, the football players are jealous of the rowers. So when I remember my first race, and I had on the Yale jacket, and I'm following the Yale rowers, and I was thinking, I'm the Yale coach. And then the rowers that I was following, they proceeded to, when they were putting the boat into the water, they banged the fin and broke the fin. And I'm like, I'm the Yale coach. This shouldn't happen. So it was quite again, another learning curve. All along the way, you learn.
What was it like for you to obviously coach at Yale at a prestigious school?
It was wonderful. And, at each stop, I've really enjoyed the athletes. I loved the institution at Yale. The Stanford students were great, and it's a wonderful university, but I think I just fit in better with the Yale athletes and the Yale, ethos of the university, that you want to be really well-rounded, good person, and solid citizen, and that's what Yale was about when I was there. I stopped because of family stuff, but I wish I could have found a way to have made it work.
What was it like going to Stanford and becoming their head coach?
Well, Stanford at the time, there were 34 varsity sports, and rowing was about 32nd in priority. So there was virtually no funding. And as the head coach, I had to raise my own salary, the travel money, the equipment money. So I was more of a fundraiser than a coach. And that was very wearing, because I'm not a fundraiser, I'm a coach, which is why I actually left Stanford to go to Yale. The budget that they spent at Yale was literally 20 times more than what they spent at Stanford at the time. Now, since then, Stanford has upped their game and rowing is very important to them. But at the time, it was an afterthought.
What were some of your accomplishments during your time at Minnesota?
Well, I implemented the program, and it's kind of funny, Brandon, because I had left collegiate coaching and I was coaching elite scholars, and then taking care of our kids who at the time that I took the Minnesota job, they were 10 and 5. So they were 7 and 3 when I left collegiate coaching, and I was perfectly happy doing that. So the scholars would. I would coach them in the morning, and then they go off to their jobs, and I go home and take care of the kids. And it was a nice lifestyle. But Minnesota called and said, "Hey, we're starting a program. Would you be interested?" And I thought it was neat what they were giving to rowing as they started that program. They were going to put an academic advisor and a strength and conditioning coach, and all the things you need to be successful. And I thought, well, shoot, let's do this. And my husband actually started the Stanford women's program. So he knew what it was like he's a rowing coach too. And we knew what the lifestyle was like, and we had enjoyed it. So we thought, all right, let's do this. So I don't know if I answered your question, and you can keep asking me more, but anyway, that's how I ended up at Minnesota.
What was it like for you, obviously, to take over a program and build it as your own, like you did at Minnesota?
Well, it was interesting because the women were just a club program, and the athletic director at the time said, "Wendy, you're not allowed to cut these women. You have to implement them and integrate them into the varsity program," which I did, and they were wonderful. They were such hard workers. So we're starting from ground zero, and we were in a tent in the coldest Division I rowing program in the country. And we couldn't even put the tent up until April 1st, but we started rowing in February. And so it was nuts. It was like the Wild West. And it was just crazy. But everyone was really dedicated, and everybody wanted it to work. And the athletes were wonderful.
What was the transition like from you from going from Minnesota, where it's cold, to now going to Tennessee, where it's warmer?
Part of it is Lisa Glenn had allowed us to come for spring break and spend the week, and we trained out of the Tennessee Boathouse, and she was very generous with that, and we did that for 15 years. And so I knew Tennessee, and I knew Lisa and Carla, and Lisa and Carla have been the two mainstays, and so I knew them relatively well, and I knew the area, and I knew the river, and I knew that it was just a wonderful place to be a rowing coach. So when I decided that I had had enough of Minnesota, Lisa was the first phone call I made to say, "Hey, I know what it takes to be a good assistant, because I know what a good assistant is. And if you have an opening, I would love to join." And luckily for me, in August, she had an opening.
Of course, talking about that, what was the transition like from going from head coach of having your own program built to obviously going to a new team and becoming the assistant coach?
Every new program, you have to learn what's going on, and you have to learn the rhythm and the rules. And so that first transition, and this is a roundabout answer, I'm getting to the answer, but anyway, when I went from the assistant coach at Stanford to the head coach, I knew the system already. So that was the easiest transition of all the ones that I've had. But since then, even though you're a head coach and going to a head coach, you still have to learn what's going on. But this, fortunately for me, I had a relationship with the Tennessee coaching staff prior to joining, so I sort of knew a little bit of the rhythm. But then you just have your eyes open and your ears open, and you're saying, "Okay, what am I supposed to do now?" And so that always takes about a year to figure out, what's my role and how do I fit in and how do I enhance.
What was it like to obviously join Tennessee and become part of the SEC?
Well, in that respect, it's no different than any other league. Everybody wants to win and everybody wants to beat everybody. And the rules are the rules. And so everyone follows the NCAA rules. I didn't see anything different with that versus the Pac-10 or the Pac-12 or the Big Ten or the Ivy.
What was it like, obviously, on joining them, and what your typical meets like?
Same. So we're all racing the same schools. And so that transition wasn't any different. I suppose the league championships, my first year here was fall of 2019. So we went into spring of 2020 and everything shut down. So last year was my first year doing the league championships here. And it's like any other league championships. You're trying to beat people and you're trying not to get beat, and you go from there.
Of course, what is it like, obviously, coaching at Tennessee and obviously coaching against your former teams that you obviously coached with?
Every transition has been a thing where I loved the athletes that I was with, and now I'm trying to beat them. It's the name of the game. And I think everybody understands that. And I would see former athletes, for instance, this last go round, I would see the Minnesota athletes that are still competing, and we would give each other hugs and then try and beat each other. And that's just the way it is.
What is a typical game day like for you?
Well, so with rowing, I guess it's similar to soccer, except even more so, where you're not allowed to do anything. Once you launch the crews and they go off to warm up, and they have about a 45-minute warm up before the race, there's nothing you can do. So it's done. Your job is done, and you have to just sit and take it. And so it's very stressful in that there's nothing you can do. And you just hope that they remember all the training and they remember what they've practiced, and then you wait and see. The other thing, Brandon, with any racing sport is you cannot strategize, and you can't plan a defense, or you can't plan an offense. You just are this fast, and you look and you see, are we faster than the others or are we slower than the others? So there is a little bit of psychology behind it, but it really is, are you faster or aren't you?
Of course, what is it like, obviously, seeing your athletes in the water rowing?
Things are going well when they give you goosebumps with the excellence that they're displaying. And when you see them learning the things that you're looking to teach them, and you see it clicking with them, and you see how much they're enjoying it, that's 80% of the reason why I coach.
What is the recruitment process like for prospective athletes looking to join a rowing team?
Well, at Tennessee, there's so much to offer the student athlete, and first and foremost, weather. So we do get winter, but winter only lasts 3 months instead of 7 months as it does in the northern area. And the boathouse is smack dab on campus. I think you know this, Brandon, but if you look right over there, that's the engineering building through the window there. So no one is closer to campus than Tennessee rowing, which is a huge advantage. We give the rowers more time to just be a student than most of the other colleges. And then our facilities are second to none. And our athletic training and the sports medicine and the academic advising, it is all first class. And as coaches, we get along, we work well together, and it's just, it's a dream come true for me to be here. So it should be a dream come true for the athletes when we recruit them.
Of course, when the prospective student athletes are on their official visit, what is the process like on the official visit?
Well, Coach Sarah Arms is the one who organizes the visits, and she's a great recruiter and a real down-to-earth person. And so she wants to show them the truth. She wants to show them what it would be like to be a student athlete here. And she wants to make sure that we're giving, a realistic overview and not hiding anything, but there's nothing to hide. So in that respect, it's pretty easy, but she wants them to have a realistic experience. And so they spend time with the students, and they spend time with the academic people, and then you usually go to a football game or whatever's going on, whatever sport of the day is, so they get to see what it's like to be a person here at Tennessee.
What advice would you give prospective student athletes looking to go into college rowing?
Have your eyes open, ask questions, and talk to the other students that are there, talk to the other athletes that are there, and see what it really is like. Because all of us coaches, we're salespeople too. When we're recruiting, we're selling our product. And are you honest, or are you hiding things, or are you projecting one persona but actually you're a different person as a coach? The students that are there, the athletes that are there, they're going to tell you the truth. So that would be my biggest piece of advice. The other one is go to a university that you want to go to, and because you never know when you're going to have a season-ending injury, or career-ending injury, and you better still like where you are.
What advice would you give college players looking to go into college coaching?
Oh, that's a good one. And thank you for giving me the questions in advance, Brandon. In advertising, I would say be willing and ready to start at the bottom. And have your eyes open and understand that the experience that you went through is just a piece of the puzzle. So a lot of times it's about the coach's third year where they start to think they know everything. And, that's kind of a dangerous time in your coaching career, because actually you know enough to cause trouble. So keep having your eyes open, keep asking questions, keep asking why, and not why, with your hands on your hips, like, why the hell are we doing this? But why is this the track that we're doing, and what is the effect that we're looking for, so that you know whether you're doing the right thing or not. That would be my piece of advice.
What advice would you give future college coaches looking to get into the industry?
Well, yeah, like I said, just keep your eyes open and look for opportunities. But most of us don't start at the top. Most of us have to work our way into the smaller programs, or the less well-known programs. And when you do a good job there, then you can move on and do a good job at the next place and the next place.
That's wonderful advice. Where can my listeners find you at on social media, along with the Tennessee Rowing Program at?
I do have an Instagram thing. I think I'm Coach Wendy at UT or something like that. I don't know. But certainly, you can look me up, and if you want to send me an email to ask questions about how to get into coaching, I'm on the UT website, and you can have at it.
Thank you again, Coach Wendy Davis, for your interview, and best of luck in your future with the Tennessee Rowing.
Thank you, Brandon. Bye.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Facebook at Brandon Sports Talk, Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Wendy Davis, for your interview, and best of luck in your future.
Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.